There has finally been justice for Lori's kids, as well as her ex-husband. Their relationship seems to be a whirlwind. It happened very fast and was very passionate from the moment that they met each other. And we have heard so many of their text messages and conversations, specifically way too much information on their life. Now, we've heard some rumors that he was writing a book, and everyone says that the book was really just about Lori. But I had been curious because he had written other books and they were about his religion. So was he tying Lori into another one of his religious books? Or how was it? I should have known from the get-go, though, that he has nicknamed down there the Storm, which already is so cringy and gross. Ugh, I hate thinking about it. And so I guess I went into it thinking that it was going to be more religious based, and I was very wrong. Yes, it does talk about religion, but no, it is very gross and creepy, to me at least. And we're going to go ahead. We're not going to read everything because I don't want to get a copyright. However, we're going to read a decent amount of clips, and this was a book he didn't even get to finish. He could only giggle when people asked if she was his wife, because yes, in fact she was. She just didn't know it yet. Her eyes had mesmerized him from the moment they met, but once the book sales slowed down, she stood near him behind a table. They looked deeply into each other's eyes for the first time, and he knew he was in the presence of a goddess. He resisted an impulse to kiss her, but his entire body was on fire. He instinctively knew she was everything he had ever dreamed of. I must clarify that James is a very difficult person to get information from. He has been blessed with great knowledge, but 99% of people who knows do not realize. He is very guarded, and it is a great task to gain his trust. As Elena leaned forward him and asked a couple of insightful questions, his heart burst with joy. He knew she was the one, if the very few people on earth that he could trust. James's physical attraction to Elena was almost overwhelming, but he was equally drawn to the spirit energy that radiated from her. As they talked, it was confirmed to him that they had indeed been married before and were eternal companions. He had glimpses of them walking dusty paths together, and as he realized, had been married during the life of Jesus Christ, and they had been very close to him. At this time, the spirits could not be restrained any longer, and a long-awaited makeout session took place in the lobby. This was manifest in the mortal world to James and Elena through the scientific phenomenon known as loin fire. But they could not stay away from each other. One time she was sitting in a couch near his table, and he took a seat on a chair about 5 feet from her. She began to squirm and cover her body with her hands. She asked him, "What are you doing?" He wasn't aware of what she meant. All he knew is that if Bruce Porter hadn't been giving them an evil eye, a child would have been conceived on that couch. As the night concluded, James needed to take his empty boxes to his car. With Elena's help, he had sold more books at that show than ever before. She helped him carry the boxes to the car, and then he could not resist the desire to hug her. He made an awkward attempt that was way too brief because their friends were bringing more boxes. In the short embrace, though, he knew he had found the woman he had searched for his entire life. It was made crystal clear to him that they had been married before and would be again. He once again had to fight off a powerful urge to kiss her, and somehow disguise the massive he was experiencing. James sadly walked to his car after watching Elena disappear down the hallway, but he couldn't deny their connection and his absolute attraction to her. She seemed way out of his league, but he nervously sent her a text before driving to his hotel. A minute passed, then 2, without a response. He kicked himself for thinking he could ever have a chance with her. Then his phone buzzed. Elena had texted him back. His heart soared, and over the next few hours they texted back and forth dozens of times. He knew she was staying at home in Tuckerville, and he desperately wanted to drive there and whisk her back to the hotel for a night of reconnection and romance. Lovemaking was a sight to behold. He knew it would be difficult, but he could be patient if it meant he could experience that type of love just once in his life. James woke up in the hotel room feeling happier than he had in his entire life. It felt like he and Elena had fit together perfectly in every way. He rolled over to kiss her, but then reality struck. She was actually more than 20 miles away in Tonkerville. As November began, James and Elena had talked on the phone every day since last seeing each other. He was extremely impressed with her intelligence, personality, and subtle humor that made him laugh more than he had in his lifetime. James felt the power and desire to bless Elena at that time. As they stayed in their favorite position, he moved his hands to her head and began to cleanse and purify each part of her body. He could feel the pains and troubles she had endured throughout her life being removed from her soul and being taken outside and destroyed. James' hands worked their way down her body and lingered briefly on her beautiful breasts. She truly had the body of a goddess, and he was experiencing an indescribable mix of physical and spiritual ecstasy. He soon concluded the cleansing of her body from head to toe, then filled her body with the balm of light and love. Oh my gosh. He is not even really writing a religious book. This might as well be in like some adult bookstore. There he is writing all these things, and he had been married to Tammy since 1990. And it made me feel sad for her. Obviously, everything is upsetting and sad for her and their families. But there he is writing these things that he's never felt this way about anyone and happier than he's ever been in his whole life. And this was while they were married and they had 5 children together. So the walking with Jesus has been said before. Lori has repeated that statement for the last 3 years. And I believe that she believes in what she's saying. But when I read everything that Chad has been writing and then throws in some religious things and about Jesus Christ, I am wondering how much of this is he's playing a role and kind of cultish in that way, and he doesn't necessarily believe all the things, and trying to land a pretty girl who, quote, is out of his league. It almost doesn't surprise me that he has to use manipulation in that sense. And I kind of wonder how much of that this entire thing was. So we're hearing the breakdown of when their romance really started and the lead up on all of these murders. James and Elena are Chad and Lori. And there's a lot of details in here, basically going over how they met, when they met, and everything that happened from that point on. It's pretty disturbing that he started writing this pretty early on. And I mean, he was using it as a book. Tammy could have read it. I mean, did people really think that what he was saying was just a made-up story? There are typos in it, but I'm going to read it how it is. So if my sentence doesn't make sense, I am very well aware. I'm just reading what he wrote. He definitely needed to stick to his day job, for sure. This quick little makeout session after meeting for the very first time in a hotel lobby with people that are around that know them. I'm not sure if anybody actually saw them or not, but it is pretty insane that they both jumped to that immediately. And it makes me wonder, here he is being this religious figure and people coming to him for advice and him feeling like he has extra powers to really help make a difference and do what Jesus is asking of him. I wonder what the people around him who are buying his books and actually going to his different speaking engagements, would they have liked that? I mean, this seems so against what he's supposed to be doing. Yes, he's tying their deviant behavior with the fact that they were married before and so kickstarting this big romance, and it's okay because they belong together. I don't see how anybody could sit down thinking that they're getting a religious book from somebody and then reading what he has said. It really is a janky romance novel that belongs in an adult bookstore. So guys, that is it. That ends our time of reading with Chad Daybell. And I have to tell you, I'm like 5 IQ points lower and it was a big waste of time. But I am happy that we got to read about what it was and not just hear comments about it, but actually get to see what he was putting out there. Definitely did not need to get put out there. And it was stopped, like I said, so he didn't finish writing it. But it only now adds fuel to the fire of what they did together, their odd behaviors, his grossness. I am so happy that they and their entire story is coming to a close. Lori has one more trial and then she's done. I will be keeping up to see if they are still in communication or not. Do they feel like that they're still married? What's going through their heads? None of that has been available, but at some point I would feel like one of them is going to do a little bit of talking. But if not, I'll dig around and see if I can find any phone call history or things like that that might be accessible to the public.